Welcome to today's live session. I'm so glad to see you here all. And our today's topic is not just about English vocabulary, it's about life. Yes, we are going to explore the two powerful antonyms, fragile and resilient. Repeat after me, fragile and resilient. These two words may look opposites in our dictionary, but when we go deeper, they actually represent two very different ways of living, thinking, and responding to challenges. By the end of this session, you won't just understand how to use these words in sentences, but also you will understand how they connect to real life, how they reflect your mindset, and how you mastering them can improve both your language and your outlook on life. So we'll start our session in next 2 minutes. So grab a notebook or a pen and start having a conversation with me. Okay, now let's start with the word fragile. Repeat after me. Fragile. Fragile means something that is delicate, easily broken, or vulnerable. When we say something is fragile, we often imagine glass or a thin sheet of ice. It looks beautiful, but it can shatter with the slightest pressure. But fragile isn't only about objects, it's also about people, emotions, and even situations. A fragile relationship is one that can break with a small misunderstanding. A fragile economy is one that can collapse with a minor shock. A fragile person is someone who easily loses confidence, someone who feels crushed under criticism or setbacks. When, if it is about the vulnerability, it tells us that something cannot endure much stress or difficulty. If we talk about the everyday English, you might hear, handle this with care, it's fragile. Her health is fragile after the illness. He has a fragile ego, so he gets offended very quickly. Can you notice how fragile is not just about physical weakness, but also about emotional and psychological sensitivity? If we think about life, there are moments when we all feel fragile. Maybe after a failure, after a heartbreak, or during times of uncertainty. Fragile is the part of the human experience. It reminds us that we are not unbreakable. If you are facing any kind of issue, is not able to understand, just let me know in the chat box and I'll help you with the more understanding. Okay, now let's turn to the opposite word, resilient. It means strong, flexible, able to withstand challenges and bounce back. Think of a rubber band. You can stretch it, pull it, twist it, but it doesn't break easily. It snaps back into the shape. That is resilience. When we describe a person as resilient, we are saying that no matter how difficult life becomes, that person finds a way to rise again. A resilient student fails once but studies harder for the next exam. A resilient employee loses a job but uses the opportunity to learn new skills. A resilient community survives disaster and instead of giving up, rebuilds stronger than before. You can now notice that in sentences you might hear children are often more resilient than we think. She showed a resilient spirit after her loss. The company remained resilient during the economic crisis. Resilience is not about never failing, it's about falling and then standing up again. It's not about avoiding pain, it's about growing through it. Where fragility is about breaking, resilience is about bending without breaking. Now, we are going to take up the look between the differences, or you can say a comparison, then how we can bring these two opposites together. Fragile is weakness in the face of pressure. Resilient is strength in the face of pressure. Let me put these terms in the form of a story. Imagine there are two trees in a storm. One tree has weak roots. The strong wind uproots it. That's fragility. But if we talk about another tree, it has deep roots, strong branches, and though the storm shakes it, the tree bends and then stand tall again. That's resilience. The same is true for us as human beings. If we are fragile, we break when life tests us. But if we are resilient, we grow stronger after every test. In our professional communication, calling someone fragile suggests they cannot handle stress, feedback, or conflict. On the other hand, calling someone resilient is a compliment. It means they adapt, overcome challenges, and inspire others. So, fragile and resilient are not just opposites in the dictionary, they are two approaches to life. They define how we face hardships. Now, let's take these two words, fragile and resilient, out of the dictionary and place them into real life. Language becomes powerful when we see it living in our daily experiences. Think about history. Every great leader, every innovator, every survivor of tough times showed resilience. If they had been fragile, their stories would have ended before they began. For example, Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times while inventing the light. A fragile man would have quit after the first 10 failures. But a resilient mind said, I have not failed. I have found 10,000 ways that do not work. That's the voice of resilience. Or you can think of Helen Keller. She lost her sight and hearing at a very young age. A fragile soul could have surrendered to despair. But Helen Keller was resilient. She went on to become an author, activist, and lecturer who inspired millions. Now let's bring it closer to our everyday world. In offices, fragility might look like an employee who panics at criticism, who sees every obstacle at a personal depth. Resilience, on the other hand, is the teammate who absorbs pressure, adapts to change, and still delivers results. In relationships, fragility shows up as mistrust, insecurity, and quick breakage. Resilience is patience, forgiveness, and the strength to grow together through storms. Even in health, fragility is a body that gives up under strain. Resilience is recovery, the ability to heal, to fight back, and keep going. The beauty is, resilience is not something we are born with, it's something we can build. Just like a muscle grows stronger with exercise, resilience grows when we challenge ourselves, when we learn from failure, and when we refuse to give up. So every time life shakes you, ask yourself, am I being fragile or am I choosing resilience? Because in that very moment, your response is gonna shape your future. Fragile breaks, resilient bends, but it also rises. And that difference changes everything. Now, as we close today's session, let's remember fragile is about breaking, resilient is about bouncing back. In language, these are antonyms, but in life, there are choices. Which one will you choose when challenges come? When we use these words in our speech and writing, we are not just improving our vocabulary, we are also reflecting our philosophy of life. So, fragile or resilient, the words you use may also reveal the person you are becoming. So, the next time you face difficulty, remember this word resilient. It doesn't just make you sound strong in English, it makes you strong in life. Thank you for being here today, and I hope you carry these two words not only in your vocabulary but also in your heart. Keep learning, stay fit, stay healthy, and